everything that has to do with the market, but we are here for one reason only, and that is the watch list. We're going to get right into that, but first we're going to go through some the AAII Investor Sentiment Survey, the Fed Watch. We're going to go over a little bit of everything. There's some ups, there's some downs, there's some heads button here when it comes to the buy, sell, or the short side. Either way, this is your S&P 500 right here, still above this anchored VWAP from all-time highs. We have a lot to go over, and a huge shout out to my boy Yosef. I hope you guys are ready for an awesome show. We are definitely going to kill it with this show. I think it's very, very important that you pay very good attention, stay attentive, because this is going to probably be the most important show of this YouTube career. So pay attention. Here we go. All right, guys, as I said before, we have a lot to go over and just a little bit of time. So please pay attention to this, as we do have the earnings coming up very, very soon. The earnings is starting to warm up, and as you guys know, the earnings can tip the scale when it comes to the overall market. If we have a lot of your bigger players like Coca-Cola, Netflix, Tesla, and they all start heading to the downside, well, they are heavy attributes in the S&P 500. They're going to help pull the S&P 500 down, and vice versa. If IBM and Intel start to scream higher with a few of these other related anticipated earnings, the market will climb higher. So we have Cliffs, Cleveland Cliffs, CLF, a steel manufacturer, before the open tomorrow. We have Crown, Steel Dynamics, Zions, RLM, and Service First Bank, all on Monday after the close. Tuesday, we got Coca-Cola. This is a big one. GE Aerospace, very important to keep a close eye on that. 3M, GM, and Northern Grumman. That's before the open on Tuesday. After the close, you have Intuitive Surgical, or ISRG. We have Netflix, Texas Instruments, TXN, Capital One, Mattel, and National Banking Holdings, just for a few. Wednesday, GE Vernova, GEV. You guys are very aware of GEV. We've talked about it a lot on this show. AT&T, Hilton, Tech, Thermo Fisher, and then after the close, the big one, Tesla, looking probably like one of the best charts that are out there. I definitely have it on my key focus list. I hope you guys have it on yours as well. And then, of course, Thursday before the opening, we have an airline, the American Airlines, Honeywell, Hasbro's, Dover, Nokia, Southwest Airlines, T-Mobile, and then after the close is Intel. Shout out to you, Jolene. She's got a longer term position in Intel, and so does the government. A little over a 10% stake, I believe. It's either 10 or 15% stake in Intel, which is pretty nutso. Of course, Ford, Decker Brands, Alaskan Airlines. So we have some banks, we have some airlines, we have some bigger boat stocks, we have steel. Then Friday after the open, P&G. Let's see, that's pretty much all the most important ones. So earnings, guys, keep an eye if you are in a stock and it is on earnings. I personally do not hold through earnings unless I have a big enough cushion where if we get a huge pullback, it's not going to hurt my trade in general. So what's going on, guys? It's good to see you. Jolene, watch the grandsons, won wrestling tournament. Yes. Watched online and won soccer. Very cool. I know you're getting pulled both ways. We're actually, on my end of the things in family, the cross country's done. We have one more game of football. My schedule's starting to open up a little bit more. I'll be able to go to jiu-jitsu more. I'll be able to focus on my trading and the YouTube more. So I'm happy things are starting to slow down on my end. And Jolene, I just love to see what an awesome grandma you are. Jimmy Bright's in the building. What's going on? The beefiest of stews. It's good to see you. I hope the family is doing amazing, my friend. Jolene says, hit the likey button. I couldn't agree more. There's a lot, you got a lot of good trades, you got a lot of good stock analysis, but that one I can really get behind. Hit that likey button, thank you very much. So that is your earnings whisperer, and I promise you we're gonna get to the watch list very, very soon, but we have some very, very important things to go over. Another big one is this AAII investor sentiment survey. Look at this. We are starting to look very bearish. Now, to me, this isn't, the craziest amount of bearish. We've seen it a little bit higher than in the previous months, but you can see here we're leaning more towards the bearish side now with the overall stock market, how the members feel. And if you guys know, for a while we've been looking at this thing, and when the crowd is on one side, you never really want to be on that same side of the crowd because they usually get it wrong. 90% of investors are wrong, with 46% of people leaning more towards the bearish side at these all-time highs just last week. It's a better sign that we might head higher. Now, that's not always right, but that's the way sometimes the sentiment actually will establish itself. And then another one to bring up is look at the CME Fed tool, guys. October, we're expecting a cut on the 29th. There is a 99% chance that we will be cutting again. What does that mean? It means we are on a path of reducing rates, so the overall the money that you're borrowing is cheaper, easier for businesses, it's easier for banks to loan them out, it's easier for you to take a home loan out and buy a home or fix up your home or whatnot. So do keep that in mind. We are on a path to cutting rates. And you can see here in December, we are on another quarter of a basis rate cut. So 2 more coming. All year, I've been telling you, all year, 3 cuts this year, and we are still on the path for those 3 cuts. And all I've been using is the CME group, the CME.com/markets, okay? So pay attention to that. We are cutting rates, which makes things a lot easier. And the last time we brought this up about 2 weeks ago, we simply asked AI, what happens when the federal government starts to reduce rates? It's pretty simple. After 3 months or within that 3 months time, that's as far as I looked out, the market usually is set higher. So with that sentiment, we're looking and expecting the market to continue to go higher. So, but I do have some opposing ideas here because we're getting very chopped up in this area. So the question is, because we have a lot of economic data coming out, the economic calendar right here, if it'll load for me, tells us next week we have CPI, we have PPI. I'll just let this load here for a second. It's taking a little longer than I anticipated, folks. There we go. Economic calendar. There we go. Give me 1 second here. I think this is really important, folks, because look here, this next week, okay, we have initial jobless claims on Thursday, Friday, core CPI and CPI. These are the CPI numbers are big, big numbers. Well, what happens when we have a government shutdown? We don't get this data. We do not get this data. It's that simple. We aren't getting data coming out with these government shutdowns. So I had to ask Google, what happens, with this economic release, the data release when the government shutdown is over? It says, yes, any delay in economic data from agencies like the Bureau of Labor Statistics or the BLS will be released after the government shutdown has ended. The duration of the shutdown and the timing of its end will determine how quickly agencies can produce and publish the backlogged information. So keep this in mind, folks. We are kind of in a gray area here. We're getting this data. Obviously, the data doesn't stop, but before it can get released, the government's shut down right now. We're not going to be getting all this data that we're used to. So when the data does come out, and we are prone to tweets and news right now, we're going to see the market really continue to stay choppy, in my opinion. So depending on how that data gets released and how the market reacts to it, personally, I'm waiting for another tariff tantrum Trump tweet. Wow, say that 5 times fast. A tariff tantrum Trump tweet. I'm waiting for another one of those because this tweet showed that the market is still fearing the tariff tantrums. But of course, the taco trade, as we were all talking about, it popped right up off those lows and then consolidated. I would like to see another tariff tantrum Trump tweet without this breaking this low. If we can see another one of those and it holds this anchor VWAP from its all-time low, I think this market will continue to look strong. But right now, I am risk off, and I gotta give a huge shout out to my boy Joseph. I have to give him a huge shout out because he said something that I could not put in words, that I was thinking of, but I wasn't acting upon just yet. And you know, I just have to give him a shout out. So Joseph, I hope you are here because I gotta read this. You know, it says here, it seems strange to me that the fear and greed index is at an extreme fear, and everyone is waiting for that correction, including myself. And that's precisely why it's less likely to happen, as we were showing you the 48% to the bearish side. That's how the markets work. But there are many negative signs in the market, like the VIX, the MDY, the RSP being below the 50-day moving average. It also makes sense that the market might correct. My conclusion is I am confused, is what Joseph says. In any situation like this, it's better to do nothing. Survival is the most important job of a trader because if you don't survive, you won't be allowed to trade when the bad times are finally behind you. And I'm not kidding you guys. That's why I love being a part of this community, because we all work as a collective, as a community. It doesn't matter who posts what. If it doesn't resonate, you don't have to accept it, right? Well, this resonated with me, and I immediately had a chat with my wife about how I'm off the gas pedal. We're chopping around here. Yes, I do believe that this AI has to continue. Okay, whether the market pulls down or not, we are in a war right now for world dominance when it comes through AI and technology, and we have been on that forefront, America and China, for quite some time. So is it going to stop? No, it's perpetual. It will continually try and grow. So no matter what America has to do, they're going to print more money. They're going to invest in other businesses so that way they have more tighter control on what happens with this AI situation. So I think it's going to go higher. I do. I feel like it is. But there's a lot of other things right now that are telling me to be careful. So the best thing for me to do right now is to sit back, relax, and wait. What is this? Another super chat. What's up, Charlotte? The Charlotte and Gary Scrappin show. If you guys haven't watched their show, you guys need to go watch. It's my father-in-law. He's awesome, and I love seeing what he's doing over there. I think you're beating me in subscribers now. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up right now. If you're beating me, I'm gonna come on your show and give you all the money you've been feeding my show back, dude. Let's see, Gary and Charlotte Scrapping show. We're looking it up right now. All right, right here. Here they are right here, folks. Look at this. Yes, I think he's beating me. What am I at? Not that it matters. I mean, if you're beating me, it doesn't matter. But if I'm beating you, it matters that I'm beating you. Right here, guys, the Charlotte and Gary Scrapping show. I love it. I know I'll see some of the stuff I gave you in here. All right, cool. Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate you very, very much. What's going on, Nalani? It's good to see you back in the building. Norman Conklin, a longtime standing member. What's going on, Norman? It's good to see you. The likey button. The likey button, if you haven't smashed it already, please do so. So that is our sentiment here, and that's why I had to give Joseph such a big shout out, because honestly, guys, we're chopping around. This is your S&P 500 futures right here. You can see we opened up, we pulled back, we're bouncing off the high as if this is acting as support. I don't give this too much credit because we're in a pre-market scenario here. So I'm not giving this too much credit here. I'm just waiting. You know, if we hit new all-time highs, that's when I'll probably be back in, or at least 3 days above this red 21-day moving average. That'll give me a little bit more understanding of where the market direction is heading. Yes, absolutely. Dow Jones Industrial, just another one above the 21, but still chopping around. See these huge bars here, these huge wicks? I mean, we just opened up in the Dow Jones Industrial and it just ripped right back up to that 21-day moving average. NASDAQ, the NASDAQ futures are looking just like the S&P 500. The IWM, folks, this thing has been ripping up, and it's still holding above that 21-day moving average. So things are looking good, but the hottest sectors that are out right now is gold. Now, I called this out in the Discord. I called this as a top. only because we have two gaps that were not unanswered, were not retests, and we were very extended from this 10-day moving average. I mean, we were over 5% in gold on that 10-day moving average. So with that being said, I said, hey, you know, I called the top back here. I even wrote it out, called the top, and it was the top for about 5 or 6 months before it broke out. We called the breakout, the basing and the trend breakout, but I did not buy any gold stocks. I didn't. I mean, I made very little on gold this whole year, and that's been the main leader out there. So, you know, I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass for it, but at the same time, when I was talking to my financial advisor, he was like, hey, maybe we should buy some gold stocks, this and that. And I was like, I can't buy gold. I can't buy it now because I feel like I'm just going to buy the top. And sure as shit, you know, day after I talked with him. Anyway, next up is NLR, which is the nuclear ETF, still holding very, very well. You guys can take a look at these too on the weekly time frame. You'll see it's just heading straight up. I mean, it's still closing higher than the week before. So these nuclear stocks, which we'll go through. XLV, folks, we talked about healthcare. We talked about biotech. And you can see here, it's holding up one of the best sectors right now after breaking this trend. And I have a few healthcare stocks. I know that you guys have a few of your own. And then of course we have XLK, which is your technology sector. You guys keep a close eye on that. Quantum is obviously doing well. Biotech is just screaming higher. It finally broke out of this huge base, this one psychological $100 area, screaming higher. I got a few biotech stocks I want to share with you guys as well. And then XLU is just doing amazing, as well as those infrastructures usually do a lot better when we are cutting rates. So we are, and so XLU is going higher. Bitcoin, you know, I really feel like this is really kind of the point here where it's undercut this base, it's undercut, and if it can get back above, come back down and retest this same base at 110,000, I think Bitcoin's gonna be looking just fine. Anywhere below this line though, to me is not looking good at all. I could easily see this popping up and just ripping right through and heading lower. You know, but you know, who knows? Who knows at this point? That's kind of why I'm hands off, just waiting to see more data. That's what I need. I need more data. I need the market to choose a direction and not just chop around. And that's exactly what Bitcoin's doing. It's just chopping around. You can even use like a Darvis box situation here if you wanted to. Let me just do this here. Look, I mean, it's very obvious when you draw it out like this. Like, this is your Darvis box. If it breaks above, you add. If it breaks below, you sell out. This thing has broken down now out of its Darvis box. So any pop would be looking more for a short rather than a long, unless it pops up, pulls back, and then shows a new higher low here. So just keeping an eye on Bitcoin. You know, it's been doing really, really well with all the other assets, but just chopping around for the past 4 months. So now we went through the ETFs, we went through the social sentiment, we went through all of it. It's time to get to the focus list. Now, you guys have seen a lot of what I have on the focus list, and you might be questioning why I'm still looking at some of these, but I learned a lot from quite a few of these secular bull runs that we've been a part of. We've made a lot of money in a lot of these secular bull runs, but one thing that I do note is sometimes stocks do need to pull back. If we can find their base in the pullback, as long as they have good EPS and sales growth and the market starts to climb again, well, you'll see. But right now, first on my list is PLTR. And once I get through these, we'll definitely go through all the stocks in the chat, and we will make sure we get to each and every one of them. What's up, Muley, what's going on? Hi, David. Shall I take profit on some tickers or hold longer? I'm talking about RGTI, NVTS. Yeah, we'll definitely go over those as well. No big deal. We'll go over ASTS and some of the quantum name stocks. But I want to give you guys my leader watch list. And right now, the first one on here is PLTR. I had a pretty heavy stake in PLTR right here as we broke this cup with handle. Now still trading sideways, but what I like is at first I pointed out these 3 new higher lows. Well, look, we have another new higher low here, and this might be another. We'll have to see if it gets out above this, but you can see here the anchored VWAP from the all-time high, the most recent low. It's squatted just below that with EPS and sales growth through the roof. You can see this right here is a VCP pattern, a volume contraction pattern. What that tells us using, you know what, instead of me trying to think of it on air, tell me who uses the VCP pattern in the chat below. Tell me who uses who coined the volume contraction pattern. I just thought of it now, but if you guys can just throw that up in the chat right now, tell me who uses the VPC pattern right now, and you'll get a big winner chicken dinner from me. But PLTR is looking really, really good. This is the cup with handle. I love the base right here at 185. I'm gonna go ahead and put an alert on that. If 185 is broken, I think this would be an advantageous spot to take risk reward. You could take a risk here using this low of 171, or if you wanted to use the same day, if you're a momentum breakout trader like myself. Quite a few of chips. Chips are hot, and my G just sent me out the list. He does a nice sector tracker, and it works very, very well. Yes, my G, he got it. Mark Minervini is the one who coined the volume contraction pattern. It's where you see big spikes of volume, and then over time, this isn't a very good one, but over time, you'll see the volume slowly start to contract before another high volume surge. So very good, my G. I knew I could count on you. So the chips are looking really good. There's some really good looking chips, and then there's some like A-Lab, which are really shit looking stocks. So keep that in mind when you're looking through your chips and you're saying, I want to get into a chip. You need to be looking at the leaders. And I'm going to show you 3 of the best leaders in the chip sector right now, and that is MU. Look at the EPS and sales growth, up over 100% for the EPS quarter over quarter, and the sales growth continues to climb. I'm looking for 25% or more. This thing is ripping through the 40s. So I like the MU. I like this this trend breakout was absolutely gorgeous. Look at this. Gets really tight, has an inside day on the 10-day moving average. In the pre-market, it yeets skeetily doos higher. We also have TSM. It's kind of chopping around here a little bit, but holding that 10-day moving average. Anything holding that 10-day moving average right now is definitely something you need to keep an eye on. NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA is kind of just basing out still right here. Look at the all-time, excuse me, I don't know why I have the anchored VWAP there. But off all-time low, the anchored VWAP is showing very strong. And look at this base right here, 184. This base looks really, really well. It's holding up very well in this market. It's chopping around. So I wouldn't mind seeing this basing breakout one more time. I've seen it multiple times on NVIDIA before, where it does this fake breakout, comes back down, gets tight, and then really starts to take off. So keep that in mind. IREN, another one we've been keeping a very close eye on, still right there above that 10-day moving average. That's a really good sign for IREN. The data centers are doing very well. There's IREN, there's Wolf, there's a few other ones, but IREN, we really, we've been watching this since down here. I don't know if you guys remember this big spike up here. I mean, I had a ton of shares of this in here, and it didn't work out. It pulled right back down. I stopped half out for break even and then took a small loss as it went back down. Did not buy back into this thing on this breakout though. You know, it's tough for me. When I take a stock, I want to see it work right away, and when it doesn't, it's even harder for me to buy back in. That's just part of my trading process. That's what makes it hard on me. I hope it's easier on you, but for me, it is a pain in the butt. Next up is BE, Bloom Energy Corporation. This thing is still ripping, still over its 10-day moving average. If it's not on your watch list, you need to have it on your watch list. Another one that's really been tripping me up, guys, is this TEM. I called this basing breakout, this yearly basing breakout, and wouldn't you know it, it continues higher. I even called the retest out, saying this is one of the hardest places to buy, and it's still heading higher. I really think TEM can really get going. It's in the right sector. It moves almost 7% a day on average. And also we have a volume contraction pattern right down here. I can just mark it out for you. You can see big volume spikes as it slowly reduces its volume as it's getting tighter. But this is new higher lows, guys. You got your low, you got your new higher low, and you got another new higher low right, hopefully right here. You know, so we'll see if it wants to hold on to that, if it wants to continue higher. I would like to be a part of this. It is really hard to hold on to this, but you know, these dip buys have been showing some. Oh yeah, yes, MU, Kevin Kilgore, absolutely. MU is doing really well. AVGO, that's another one. Let me throw that up on my my leader watch list. Thank you very much for that, my G. AVGO is another one in the chip sector that's now going up on the board as well, holding above that 10-day moving average, showing a cup with a possible handle right here. So you can see it right here. Here's your cup. The handle, I would expect to do something like this before breaking out. So we'll see, give it some more time, let the market stop chopping around so damn much and see if it can get up and away. Now, if you guys remember a while back, I was talking about keep an eye on biotechs, keep an eye on solar stocks. And you can still see to this day when we were talking about when we should keep an eye on bio and pick your biotechs and watch your solar. This right here was the base we talked about for NXT. And I haven't checked in on this in a while, but with the EPS and sales growth like this was a sure thing. And sure enough, it came off of this $70 base, screaming higher. It's went up to, it's trading at $87 right now, still holding that 10-day moving average. You know, if you believe in solar, this might be one that you want to keep on your watch list. It was a more recent IPO as of 2023. Also, First Solar is another one. It just got above this previous shoulder, which is a really good sign. And it's just trending. Look how well it's following that 10 and 21-day moving average. EPS and sales growth estimates for October are much, much higher than previous. SHLS is another one in that same group. In the solar group, they're starting to gain some EPS and sales growth here, still holding that 10-day moving average. The base that we pointed out was like a yearly base down here, made this beautiful stage 1, entered a stage 2 here, and now is climbing higher. Another one, CEG, this is the Energy Corporation, showing EPS and sales growth slightly lower than what I like to see, but you can see it's doing very, very well. We can throw, let's look at OUST. Let's see here, OUST for the Charlotte and Gary show. You guys can see right here, OUST was a beautiful mover, and when we played OUST, we played it right here on this trend break. And we said, you got to use this 50-day moving average as your stop loss, because every time since it's been above this 50-day, every time it's came down to it, it's retested and headed much, much higher, pulling back, holding the 50-day and heading higher. So with this move here, this is a beautiful capitulating top. It pulled back, never held the new high, and just came right back down. So this is still a good sign though, because it's still trying to hold this 50-day moving average. With EPS and sales growth like this, that's a really good sign. But for me personally, I'd much rather see it holding above this base, this 31.24 area. I'd love to see it hanging out above this. It's just sold off really hard the past 3 days. But if we go on a weekly time frame, ooh, look at that wick. Look at that wick on the weekly time frame. But still holding this area, it's still looking good. But you know, for me, it lost its momentum. You know, it's just trading sideways now and it's chopping around. But the EPS and sales growth, I mean, that's the beautiful thing here. You know, so AUS is still doing very well. Let's see, a couple more that you guys brought up. Yes, I think I have CRDO on my watch list as well, dude. Yeah, CRDO is looking really good. Look at the EPS and sales growth on this thing. My G says, mark my words, it's going to rip. You do use a lot of very, how do I say it? Very confident words is the best way I can say it. He says, mark my words, this thing is going higher. I will mark your words, actually. I will do it just like this. We're going to mark your words. And I'm only hoping for the best, obviously. I'm only doing this because I think it's going to be great if it does take off. And you said mark my words, and I mark your words like I am doing right now. I'm going to throw this up here for you right now. He says, CRDO, mark my words, it's going to rip soon. Be careful out there, folks. I can screenshot and put anything on the screen here, but I'm sure he is just fine with it. My G knows this is all out of love. But I hope that it does, and I'm actually going to set my alert here so I can root with you on this one. With EPS and sales growth like this, in the triple digits, this doesn't have any excuse to not head higher. The thing is it's trying to find a new higher low. It just keeps making new lower lows here. That's never a good sign, and it's broke its 50-day moving average, now trading above that 50-day moving average. But the trend is your friend, folks, and you can see this trend is trending. So let's just keep a close eye on this, and we'll see. Oh, I don't know how I just did that. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I do like CRDO. I do have it on my watch list with many, many other ones. AMD was another one of those chips. Folks, look at this. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. This AMD, to me, looks like it wants to just scream higher. I mean, you have a bit of a base starting to form here at this 240 area. Just broke the new all-time highs last week, and it's just trading sideways. I mean, nothing's keeping this thing from coming down. I mean, the market's trying to pull it down, tariffs trying to pull it back. It doesn't matter. AMD is clearly wanting to go higher here. So if you can get yourself good risk reward off this base, or if you can buy off the 10-day moving average, that might be to your advantage. So we'll see what happens there. Another long one that I've been keeping an eye on that looks kind of like CRDO, not in the same sector, obviously, but you can see it's broken the 50. It doesn't have new higher lows put in yet, but you can see it just came right back down and it retested this base at $45. I think that this, if it holds, creates new higher lows, I think Frog can head higher as well. Now, while everybody was watching their gains start to crumble, Google headed higher and made new all-time highs on Thursday. Or no, was that Friday? Excuse me, yeah. No, that was Thursday. The EPS and sales growth, this is a bigger boat, a bigger company. If you wanted something that moved faster, you could use GGLL, which is the 2x leverage for Google. It moves twice as fast, almost 5%. But we're just going to keep an eye on Google itself as we have this mini little cup, maybe a form of a handle soon. But look at this base. When we called this base out, 3 new higher lows, a nice base, ripping higher, held the 21-day moving average all the way up until the tariff tweet by Donald Trump. And you can see here, it's just heading higher. So Google looks really good. I think they're pretty well suited in all realms, whether it's AI or quantum computing. They've got their fingers in a little bit of all of that. CLS is another one, and we have earnings coming up on CLS right here, Monday, the 27th of October, 2025. Keep a very close eye on this one. This base, we wanted this thing to break out way before earnings. It's not, it didn't. It did, excuse me, but it's too close to earnings now to try and take a stake in it. So I'm just waiting for after earnings to see what happens. Maybe we get a huge gap up and we have an earnings continuation play. We'll see. We'll see that. We'll see for that. You were very, very welcome. I appreciate you being here. Yeah. Let's see. Good call, my G. Yeah, Muley says, hi, David. Shall we take profits on some tickers or hold longer? I'm talking about, so the first thing I tell you or tell anybody when they come on here and they ask me questions like that is, well, what does your trading strategy say? Does it say to take half of your shares at 20%? Does it say to wait for 2 gaps in the pre-market? Does it say, when the crowded market report comes out and everybody's too bearish to take? Everybody's trading strategy is different. For me personally, I have to take a trade off of a base or a trend. If it's off of a base, it's 20%. I lock in half my profits, bring my stop up to break even, and then I let the rest ride. That's kind of a textbook Quilamagi type, maybe not textbook Quilamagi, but it's in kind of the same realm where you're getting in, you're expecting big gains, you're protecting your account, and then you're letting you're giving yourself enough room to let the rest ride. So I guess the real question is, what type of trade? Was it an investment? Was it a swing trade? Was it a day trade that you're still holding? You know, those are all relative questions that you got to answer for yourself. I can't tell you if it's a good time or a bad time to buy. All I can say is I look at this market right now and I say I'm risk off. I'm risk off for good reason, and the good reason is because I don't know. I don't have a very good understanding of the market or where it's going to go, and I'm not comfortable with letting my money lay in there. I'm up over 50% this year, and I plan on to protect those gains as I showed you Yosef's tweet. Next up is, excuse me, let me die really quick. Ooh, sorry about your ears. All right, check it out. This is a speculative stock. I know a lot of people, all you fanboys out there with your Tesla stock, I don't give a shit what's going on. I do not care. If you're not showing me EPS and sales growth, I don't necessarily trust my money in your company, okay? So this is a speculative play, yes, but there is high risk or high reward and low risk. So I do like to take a look at something like this. Huge move up out of the base, huge move up off the trend, and now you can see we're getting very tight right here at 444. Now this 444 is a very important area because you can see it's a humongous top. If it can get above 444, Tesla might be able to go higher. Yes, the robots, yes, autonomous vehicles, yes, this, yes, that. I don't care. The EPS and sales growth shows me to take heed, to be very careful with Tesla, but I'm not going to deny the fact that Tesla's price action here is doing amazing, amazing. So shout out, you know, I know there's quite a few people out there holding it in our Discord, like Holy Diver, John Hammer, shout out to you guys. You guys were buying them up down here closer to the 300s. It's just something I couldn't get behind, but I was rooting for you. The 3 new higher lows, the tightening price range, the base. I mean, it was kind of a 5-star trade, but I've been hurt so many times by Tesla, I just don't even mess with it. Here's a couple of them for you. ASTS still holding that 10-day moving average and showing some EPS and sales growth last June's report. Now in November, they're also expecting to see much higher EPS and sales growth. Another one too is Rocket Lab, folks. If you guys haven't heard, this Rocket Lab, we called this base out in the Discord. Got a nice piece of this. I sold out after the tariff tantrum. After 20%, I did lock in some profits, so we bought in here. After 20% on this day right here, I locked in half of my gains. I let the other half ride until we closed below the 10-day moving average, but instead, I sold out on the tariff tantrum using an emotional indicator. Is that good? Is using the emotional indicator good? No, hell no, it's not. Now, I could give you every reason why, you know, I don't really care. I took my profits. I did what I did. Whatever. It's against my rules. I did not follow my rules on this one, and shout out to our community for calling me out on that one. I do honestly love you guys for that. John Hammer said, don't you keep some to trail with? And it's like, yeah, but no buts. That's why we have rules. Next up is VSAT. This held its base after it came down and retested, heading higher, still holding that 10-day moving average. SNDK. I know this is one that my G has been talking about for quite some time now. I just couldn't find a trade off of this. This had a beautiful basing breakout, never looked back. It touched its 10 a few different times, but kept screaming higher, and the SanDisk still wants to go. So we'll see if it still has some room to run. We don't have a lot of EPS. We have no EPS data and only some sales growth. So it's kind of hard for me to get too much behind this, but hey, a trending chart is a trending chart. So I like it. Now here are some of the biotech stocks I wanted to get. I actually got these from Marty Chargin. I watched one of his stock analysis the other day, and I really resonate with him. How he, the way he brings different stocks up and stuff. And here's a few for you. A little bit slower some of the other ones, but this one moves 4.85%. ALNT, you can see it had a beautiful basing breakout right here, and now it's just coming back to retest that $50 breakout area. Well, it's actually 48. That $48 breakout area. If it can hold this might be a good area of support. And if it can hold that, I could see ALNT continuing to trend higher. IREN, Disc Medicine. This does not have good EPS or sales growth, but again, this is a biotech stock, so just keep an eye on this. This has your highest volume ever traded on Friday right here. So you can see if we zoom out, this thing has had a horrible history, but now finally getting up off these lows. If it can hold this area and break through that 100, I think we're gonna see IRON pop up in our feeds quite a bit more. A little bit faster as well, 4.91%, so that's nice. And this one is only a 1 billion market cap. I thought this was very cool. NKTR, you know, obviously the EPS and sales growth, that's a big reason why we don't mess with biotechs and therapeutics. But you can see here, it's holding that 21-day moving average. It had this beautiful fake breakout and it pulled right back. So if it can continue to hold that 21-day moving average, I could see this thing starting to really head higher. Its history doesn't look so pretty, but it's holding this area. So there is a few of those biotechs and therapeutic stocks for you. Here's another one, ARGX. This has some EPS and sales growth as it continues to rip much, much higher. Now a little extended from the 10-day moving average, but looking good. ARWR, another one that I stole from Marty Chargin. Shout out to you, Marty Chargin. I hope I get to interview you one day. Somebody send this to him, please. Marty, I love you. ARWR, Aurora. Arrowhead Pharmaceuticals still holding that 10-day moving average, moves 4.62%. I guess I lied. Most of these are faster, a little bit faster movers. And then RGTI, as I talked about RGTI before, this is a $15 billion market cap that works in a warehouse that looks shittier than my barn out back. They do not have any sales growth. They're showing EPS growth, surely, because it's going straight up, but no sales growth. No sales growth here in a $15 billion company that's not even bringing in a dime. There's warning signs there, but there's RGTI and there's plenty of other quantum computing stocks that you can look at that aren't going to have a huge sell basis. They don't have their foot in the door with retail or with businesses, because what are we going to use quantum computing for? I mean, sure, we can say all the things that quantum computing is going to do, but until they start making sales, I really can't get behind them. So we just got to keep an eye on the price action when it comes to this. So when you're looking at biotech, therapeutics, quantum computing, stuff like that, price action is king. None of this EPS and sales growth even matters when you're talking about these momentum runners here. And you can see RGTI, this is a huge miss for me, this trend break. We called it out, held the 10-day moving average. Big push up on volume, a pullback, squatting on the 10-day, and just ripped much, much higher. My G says that QBTS looks much better. I have to agree, it's holding that 10-day very well. Let me just throw this. And the EPS and sales growth is there. And I do actually have this on my focus list. It was just down here a little ways. But yes, I gotta agree with you. QBTS is looking a lot better. It does actually look like they're having some sales, right? They're actually selling something. Now you can see their annually and quarterly is still, they still have a lot to fight through when it comes to their net income being, negative 180 million. Holy shit, no big deal. We're just $180 million in debt, but they're a $13 billion company. So, hopefully they start getting some more sales in there. But yeah, QBTS definitely looking very, very good. As well as RGTI, but yeah, QBTS probably looks a little bit better than RGTI. Let's see, off these lows, 129%, and let's see, off these lows. So RGTI has almost doubled what QBTS has done in terms of how high it's moved, and they both move about the same average daily range at that 13%. So if you're looking at QBTS or RGTI, either one would be a particularly good play. But if you're looking for the EPS and sales growth, QBTS might be the leader in that sector, okay? So keep that in mind. Thank you, my G. Appreciate you. He says oh yeah, you love that STX, dude. Yeah, STX, nice push up, pulled back, now trying to hold the 21-day moving average. That EPS and sales growth is absolutely phenomenal. Why don't I have this on my watch list? Thank you for that, my G. STX, definitely a nice one to keep an eye on. And then we have WDC as well. WDC, yeah, that looks the exact same as STX. Are they the same? Are they the same damn stock? They look the exact same, STX and WDC. Yeah, computing peripherals, electronic technology. So they must be sister companies because they look exactly the same. They're in the same sector. So yes, they do look very, very nice. I think STX does look a little better because of the EPS and sales growth. So if we're leading towards STX or WDC, I'd rather put more money into STX rather than dispersing money with STX and WDC. So yeah, for sure. Kevin Kilgore, what's going on, brother? It's good to see you in here. ENPH, he says it's on his watch list. Need more time to confirm the base and stay above the 50-day moving average. Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. If we look at just the daily time frame on the ENPH, look at the 200-day moving average. See how the 200-day moving average is still sloping down? You know, to me, it looks like absolute dog shit. The RS rating is only 3, meaning if the stock market goes up, this thing isn't even going up. If the stock market goes down, this thing is clearly going down. So if we just zoom out, I mean, you can see this thing is on a horrible downtrend. For me personally, before I would even want to take a look at this thing, I want to see this thing get a big boost of volume, trade up here somewhere and form a base before I even look at this. Because right now, you're just trying to bottom feed off of something like this, and I'm not good at that. Also, there's not much EPS and sales growth. They started to turn around for 3 quarters, but this next quarter, they're not calling for any earnings or sales. So just keep in mind, know what you're working with here. ENPH, it just keeps making new lower lows and new lower highs, and it's still below a 200-day moving average. So I'm already sick of looking at it. Roblox here. You guys remember I wanted to short this thing here. That's why we have stops. Hit right back up to its previous base and then pulled right on back down. Roblox is still looking strong. It is. It's still looking strong. It wasn't below this 50-day moving average, but now that it ripped up above it and pulled back, if it can stay above it, it's still looking pretty damn good. Let's see. Sorry, buddy, but you have a lot better out there. My G, I don't know what you just said. Oh, I think you're probably trying to say, sorry, buddy, but you have, there's a lot better stocks out there. I think that's probably what you meant to say. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, here's one, and you know, this is one that I just want to talk to you guys about. I want to keep a close eye on this, and it kind of goes with like what Kilgore is looking at. You know, he's looking at these bottom fishers, these bottom feeders. This is something I really want to talk to you about. So here's Dutch Bros, and Marty Chargent's another one, but this is a double bottom right here. This is a double bottom base, okay? It's below a 200-day moving average, but look at the EPS and sales growth, okay? Now look at S-Bucks. Starbucks, S-Bucks. Look at S-Bucks here. S-Bucks getting its butt handed to it, and look at the EPS and sales growth, all right? So if we look at Bros and we start to see new higher lows start to form off this double bottom, then that might be something I'm looking at right when it breaks the 200-day moving average, all right? But the EPS or the RS rating is still bad. The EPS and sales growth rating is still good. All right, so we're gonna keep an eye on that one, but that's way on the back burner, folks, way on the back burner. All right. Well, do you guys have anything for me? Yeah, okay, yeah, it was for Kevin Kilgore. Yeah, brother. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, I had a question for you, and that was, are you risk on or risk off? 50% say you're risk on, 29% say you're risk off, and 21% said, just give me the watch list. Damn. Well, I gave you the watch list, and I gave it to you good. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching this at a later time. Thank you so much for making it to this part of the video. Love you guys. I hope you guys have an awesome night. I got a big day ahead of me, and we'll see you guys next Sunday. Let's make some money. Peace, guys. Yo, my G, thank you for being so chatty and bringing us some hot stocks, baby. Too hot to handle, in my opinion. Kevin Kilgore, thank you for swinging in, brother. It's always good to see you. The Charlotte and Gary Show. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the support. Norman Conklin, you're the man. I appreciate you being so damn supportive. Thank you so much for being a long-term member, a long-standing member. Jimmy Bright, good night, brother. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate you being here. Muley, good to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Nalani, it's good to see you again. Appreciate you being here. The beefiest of stews. Thanks, Beefy. I hope everything's going well on your end, brother. Sweet Jolene. Good to see you, Jolene. And Carl Burr. Thank you guys so much for being here. Absolutely love doing the show. Hope you guys have a great night. Peace.